It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we got a beer from Seven Brothers Brewing Company. Picked this one up in ASDA, and this is their chocolate honeycomb stout. It's 5.5% ABV, described as dark, smooth and sweet. It's in a 440 milliliter can. There's a look at it. And it's new into ASDA. Perfect. Some new beer. So without further ado then, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. We got a one finger tan coloured head. It's a jet black beer in the glass. Good levels of carbonation. Now I have reviewed a honeycomb beer from ASDA previously. This is looking an awful lot better. Not because it's almost, well, more or less jet black in the glass, but I remember the last Seven Brothers honeycomb beer that I had from ASDA, and the head dissipated really quickly. At least with this, it's looking pretty decent actually. It was £3 for a can. I think ASDA, in terms of their craft beer selection, they're quite reasonable, I would say. Quite reasonable in their craft beer offerings. Nothing really goes over £3 a can. And if you buy, they do a 4 for 3 deal, so if you buy 4 cans, you only pay for 3, so that works out at, well, it's less than £3 a can then, and it's probably more like £2.25, something like that. So it looks really good then. Sounds good, doesn't it? Honeycomb stout. What am I thinking when I think honeycomb stout? Maybe on the sweeter side. But I like honey, I do like honey, and I think stout with all that roasted malt quality, it should be pretty good, shouldn't it? Let's get the aroma. A little bit of, it's more like, I would say one of those cocoa infused stouts. Drinking chocolate powder infused stouts. But then again, you do get a little bit of honeycomb, most definitely. It looks good, no sediment, nice and dark. So I rock the beer back and forth, you can see the carbonation chasing the head of the glass. Looks very good. Let's dive in. Cheers everybody. It's definitely pushing towards dessert stout. So what do I mean by dessert stout? It's definitely pushing towards being a sweeter stout. I'm not really picking up an awful lot of roasted malt in this beer. Which I would like. I'd love a load of roasted malt in this beer. I think the promise of this beer, if you're a traditional stout drinker, and I always make this connection in my head. This is why I picked these beers up. Because for me, as a traditional stout drinker, which is somebody who really likes the roasted malt in a stout. So let's take all of this back. Normally with a light ale, the light malts colour the ale, makes it a light ale, yeah. So I was in Poland once and I watched them actually roast malts over fire, and it was incredible. So the malts went in light, so if they used them malts before they were roasted, it would make a light beer. And when they roasted them, they offered us some warm malt at the end of this process, but it was dark, it was black. And when you chewed it, you were getting all that roasted quality, that wonderful bitter dark chocolate, coffee, a little bit of sweet caramel in there still. It was wonderful. And that's the reason why I would say, I'm tempted to use the word older generation. I'm not going to use the word older generation because I think that would be kind of slightly unfair. I know youngsters, I know there's a lot of youngsters that like these dessert stouts, and I know, because you comment in the comments box, you guys, that there are people out there in their 50s and 60s that love these dessert stouts. But I'm much more of a traditional roasted malt stout drinker. And unfortunately, going back to that story, when I see this on the shelf in ASDA, I see chocolate honeycomb stout, and I'm thinking this is going to have a little touch of chocolate, a little touch of honey, and then some lovely roasted malts. This has the potential to be a fantastic beer. But what you're left with, and I say what you're left with, I suppose there's people who look at this on the other side of the coin, really. They see this as something which is sweet. And they want it to be sweet. And they want it to have lots of honeycomb and lots of drinking chocolate powder flavours in there. And they probably don't want a load of kind of roasted malt bitter flavours coming through. And that's fine, because you're probably buying it and you're probably drinking it and you're probably loving this beer. But for me, it's such a lost opportunity. It's such a missed opportunity. That's the word, missed opportunity. When you see beers like this and they sound so terrific, and they're not quite there. They're not quite there. For me, anyway. For me. But there we go. This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion on the subject. Sweet drinking chocolate, little bit of honeycomb, and then more of that kind of synthetic chocolate kind of. It's drinking like an ale. It's not drinking like a stout, it's drinking like an ale. Which leaves me questioning why it's black. How it's black. So, welcome to the dark side. We've taken our most popular beer, bump up the ABV, and chucked a bunch of dark malts into the mix. Truly a crunchy in a can. That's it. That's what they've gone with. Crunchy in a can. Fair enough. I mean, there's loads of people, you see loads and loads of people. I enjoy a crunchy. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a crunchy, but do I want crunchy in my beer? Oh, I don't know. If it's a bit roasty, maybe yes, but it's not. I feel like a scratch record now, so I'm just going to rate this. Seven Brothers Brewing beer, that's right. Each of us look at things a little differently, but one thing we'll all agree on is brewing great tasting beer. Brewed in Salford in Manchester. £3 a can in Asda. If you buy it on the 4 for 3 deal, you're going to get it for £2.25 a can. If you like your sweet stout, you're going to really like that. You're going to really like that. If you're more of a traditional stout drinker, you like a lot of roasted malts in your stout, this is probably not going to be for you. So my rating, and it's just a personal rating on this, it's not the worst beer I've tasted in the world, but it's not the best either. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.